Sometimes, it's not the things we do that break us. It's the words we should have never said. I never meant for it to go that far. Not with him. Not with anyone. It started as a friendship, the kind that sneaks up on you quietly, like rain that doesn't seem like much until you're already soaked. His name was Daniel. He was my husband's closest friend and mine, too, eventually. We all worked in the same circle, shared dinners, birthdays, laughter. But somewhere between all that comfort, I forgot where the lines were drawn. Daniel was the kind of man who listened, really listened. When my husband, Michael, started working late nights and traveling often, Daniel became the voice I could still talk to. He'd ask simple things like, "Did you eat today?" Or, "You sound tired. Are you okay?" Those words, they filled the silence my marriage had become. And one evening, when Michael had left for another business trip, Daniel came by to drop off some files my husband forgot. It was supposed to be quick. Just a knock on the door, a short chat. But the rain started and he stayed. We talked for hours that night. About life. About dreams. About loneliness. And at some point, without even realizing it, I told him things I had never said out loud, things about my fears, my regrets, and how I felt invisible in my own home. That's when it happened. Not the kind of it you're thinking of, nothing physical, nothing you could see, but the kind that lives inside your heart and takes root. He looked at me and said, "You deserve to be seen." Those 5 words changed everything. I felt something shift in me, something dangerous. I knew I was already too deep, but I still said more. I told him how I missed being loved, how I missed feeling like I mattered. My voice shook, my eyes filled with tears, but I kept talking, confessing things I should have buried deep inside. He didn't interrupt. He didn't judge. He just listened, his eyes heavy with something I couldn't name. By the time the rain stopped, I knew the damage was already done. I hadn't cheated with my body, but my heart was already somewhere else. Days passed, and our conversations continued, texts, late-night calls, moments that blurred the line between friendship and something unspoken. It wasn't love, at least not the kind you plan. It was connection born out of absence, and guilt born out of need. I'd lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, replaying every word we exchanged, every silence that said more than words ever could. Michael began noticing my distance. He'd ask if I was okay, and I'd smile and say, "I'm fine." But I wasn't fine. I was falling apart quietly, torn between loyalty and longing. Then one evening, Michael came home early. He walked into the living room while I was on the phone with Daniel. I froze. Michael's eyes met mine, confused, then suspicious. "Who was that?" he asked. "Just Daniel," I replied, too quickly. That night, we barely spoke. I could feel the tension, thick and suffocating. And for the first time, I saw what I had done, not just to myself, but to my marriage. The next day, I texted Daniel. "We can't do this anymore." He replied, "I know, but I'll always be here if you need someone to talk to." That message broke me more than anything else. Because even though I ended it, I knew a part of me still wanted him to say, "Don't go." Weeks turned into months. Michael and I tried to rebuild what was left. I confessed, not everything, but enough. Enough for him to see my regret. Enough for him to cry in silence beside me that night. He didn't yell. He didn't walk away. He just said, "I wish you told me before you told him." Those words, they stayed with me. Because in truth, Daniel wasn't the man I loved. He was the reflection of what I had lost. Time passed. We went to therapy, rebuilt our trust piece by piece. It wasn't easy, it still isn't. But something changed in me. I learned that silence in a marriage can be louder than any argument. That attention is a form of love. And that emotional infidelity, even without touch, can destroy just as deeply as anything else. 1 year later, I saw Daniel again at a mutual friend's wedding. Our eyes met across the room. He smiled. I smiled back. No words, no tension, just a quiet acknowledgement of what once was. It wasn't pain anymore, it was closure. And as I held Michael's hand that night, I realized how fragile love can be, not because of what others do to it, but because of the spaces we leave empty inside it. If you've ever loved someone and felt unseen, you'll understand how silence can turn into temptation. But remember, not every connection is meant to be kept. Some are lessons, not love stories. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. Backhand index pointing right, I watched till the end. Your words help us share more true, emotional stories like this, stories that remind us that love, no matter how complicated, is still worth fighting for. Because sometimes, the deepest scars aren't from what we do, but from what we almost did.